When you book a Best Western hotel, you get all the great stuff you'd expect from a big brand, plus the feel-good glow of knowing every booking supports proudly independent hotels. Like Rogerthorpe Manor in Yorkshire, run by the Metcalfe family. So with 290 unique places to stay, you're not just booking, you're booking good. Best Western. Booking good.
Welcome back to Edinburgh for our latest episode of Box 2 in partnership with Best Western Hotels GB, supporting local, proudly independent hotels. Welcome back to Box 2 for this, another weekly roundup, proudly sponsored by Best Westerns Hotels. Caitlin, I don't know if you've been to any of the Best Western hotels. I went to Craiglan's Hotel in Ilkley, which is one of theirs, and it was an unbelievable experience. I had a great time at the Cow and Calf. Is it anywhere that you've been?
No, I haven't actually, but you've sold it very well. I'm definitely going to have to go on one of my days off, so I'll make sure that goes in calendar.
Brilliant, I would definitely advise that. Right, we're going to start this show off with a bit of a bang. What about that shot on Tara Jane Stanley? Wow, you got her good, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm very fortunate that I read the play. Otherwise, I think she, well, as we both know, that she's got the skill to make something out of nothing. So it were a must tackle, and I'm very fortunate that it came off very well.
You read it really well. Timing, discipline, everything. Timed it, peach. She's a good player as well, Tara Jane, 2022 Woman of Steel, and she had a big influence on the game as well, didn't she?
Yeah, massively. For me personally, growing up and starting at fullback, she were a massive help for me for developing my game. So I'd like to think that we've got quite a good relationship, although Twitter's obviously saying different this week. But yeah, the game, she had an absolutely fantastic game and a well-deserved player of the match.
And it's a great spectacle as well, because we get that blood and thunder, the gladiatorial part, even in a women's game as well.
Yeah, I think the game at the weekend was a shock to many people's systems.
Yeah.
Two very high quality sides, and I think we put on a good spectacle for the game, and to be able to put on the big shots and the big runs that were out there, I think both sides should be proud of the spectacle that they put on, and it puts the game in the right stead for a massive year to come. We'll
chat a little bit more about that later on. Just touching on the men's game, which was really entertaining in the end. It was a 1-point game, went right down to the wire. Some real standout performers as well. Up at Longbar, we had the Ark Inspirations man of the match was Richie Myler.
Yeah.
James McDonald, who was the coach's man of the match, and the Sky man of the match, Nene McDonald, had another outstanding game. Now, you've had an evolution of progression through various positions. You're currently playing in the centre. Have you been watching much at Nene and learning any traits, skills, attributes from him?
Yeah, I watched quite a few centres. If I'm being honest, I watch all the back five.
Right.
You never know where I'll have to get roped into, so it's something I definitely keep a close eye on and see where I could potentially add value. I think the backs for Leeds were absolutely phenomenal at the weekend, and I think quite a lot of players made a massive impact, and like you said, Nene was absolutely class, so it definitely added to the game.
And Ramadan as well meant that he'd not had anything to eat before sunrise that day. To play in such a high intensity game, no water, no food, that's some feat, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so respectful, and I think that'll definitely get a lot of people having a newfound respect for him, and the fact that his religion means that much to him, to the point where, like you said, such a hard game, and he made so many carries, and the amount of meters he's made were absolutely unreal. So the fact that he could get through that, I think definitely makes us want to work harder, because if he can do that with no food, then we've got no excuses.
And what did you make to the game as a whole? The start was under a little bit of scrutiny. Rowan Smith talking about wanting to be a little bit better at the start of games, but actually it's funny, started thinking the energy that we're showing at the back end of the games actually might be because we've saved a little bit, not saved it, but not expended so much at the start. What's your thoughts and makeup of the context of the whole game?
I think as a club, Leeds are usually quite slow of getting off the mark, and I don't think that's a bad way to look at it. I think once you've put in such a hard graft near the end, you've obviously managed to save quite a bit throughout the game. So Huddersfield definitely put in a good graft, but like you said, it seems that they've saved a bit of energy, and it were a bit clunky to start with, but they definitely found the way near the end.
Sam Lizzone, I thought was outstanding. Zane Tetevano, when he was on the field, I thought was as impactful as I've seen for a long time, actually. It was interesting watching some of the Huddersfield players back into the game. Jake Connor was a bit of a maverick of the game, really exciting to play. I don't think he quite understood that there were a point behind. He kicked the ball out there when they needed a point. He's wasting time. But it just articulates, doesn't it? Sometimes when you're under pressure at some of those big games, can lose a bit of focus and concentration. It was a big game for you, the women against the York Valkyrie. How important is it, or how difficult is it in some of those high-pressure games at the back end to stay focused?
I think it can be quite difficult, especially with a game that as close as the men's game was. It's easy to get sunk into all the dramatics and everything that could be going on behind the scenes. So having the will to slow it down and just calm it and understand what the role is, what the job of the team is, I think it is a massive part of the game, and sometimes goes unnoticed, but you usually have the big characters for that.
Certainly, and just touching on your game, it was interesting, not quite the result that you wanted, obviously, but I thought it was good to get the ball rolling, understand some of the dynamic with the new players. You know, think of people like Courtney Winfield, who are missing, George Roach, Frank Goldthorpe. You know, and there's a lot of speculation about attraction to NRLW, England under-20s. Bit of a shake-up, but it's good to get the ball rolling and start that game, get the season underway. Yeah,
massively. Unfortunately, like you said, we had so many players missing from the game, and like missing Courtney from this season, I think is a big part, a massive loss. But I think that the girls did a great job. We've got practically a brand new spine in from the weekend, and I think every single player definitely did the best. And Caitlin Casey, 18-year-old, and her debut for Leeds Rhinos in the Women's Super League was at Headingley on Sky. I can't think of a better way to do it, but so I think Rome weren't built in a day, and I think we're definitely heading in the right direction. And as Lois said, the Super League season is very long, so we've got bags of time to make up for that game.
Amy Hardcastle on debut as well. George Rail had some really nice moments. What's it like playing outside of Amy Hardcastle? She's in the back row there, making loads of barnstorming runs, and you feeding off the back of it.
Yeah, me and Amy usually play on the same side at England when she's at centre and I'm at wing, so we already have a pretty decent partnership, and we know how each other play off the back of each other. So it was great to play again with Amy alongside her, and like you said, she did some fantastic runs, and I'm just lucky that she got the tip absolutely bang on each time. So I've played against her, and we definitely don't want her running at us. So a massive privilege to have her on our team. And George Rail as well, such an experienced player, a massive impact in the middle at 13, and I think a part of the spine. I think that's a great addition to have to such a new kind of side in terms of the new signings. But I think we've got brilliant additions this year.
A lot of purists get a little bit upset when organisations or the competitions start pinching players from ours and don't really want to talk about it. But I think we should address it. In fact, I think it's a positive because it shows the quality of the domestic game over here and the quality of the players that we're producing. What's your thoughts now in terms of where the game's at and the fact that NRLW are starting to want to poach some of our players?
I've been in the game since it first started, so I've obviously been in the midst of it as it's been progressing, and it is an unbelievable progression that it has been. The fact that not only on the playing side, but on the side of Sky Sports, the media coverage, the grounds that we're playing in, like this year we'll be at Wembley for the Challenge Cup final. So little things like that are going to make the game better for us as individuals, and the fact that teams are paying now at York and Leeds, I think, is a fantastic way to get the game to progress even more, to get to that level of the NRLW. And I think with the World Cup, we're a fantastic platform for those girls to get noticed, and the fact that we are getting noticed and people are wanting to nick our best players, I think it's a massive pat on the back for them, because it's what they deserve. But at the same time, it's a massive credit to where the league has come, and the point where the top 4 teams potential this year are massively competing, and I think it doesn't just take one team to dominate now, and I think that's the way that the game needs to go, and I think it's showing with the interest.
And the women are still part-time in some, on some occasions, in some cases. You actually work for one of the club sponsors as well. Tell us a little bit about your other job.
Yeah, so I work for Johnson's Paint Trade, it's PPG, so I've worked there for 3 years now, so I came out of school and went straight into that, and it's just paint, so I'm very fortunate enough that they support me in my rugby and allow me to change my shifts, to allow me to come training, and game days and international periods have been absolutely phenomenal with me.
Brilliant.
And yes, they're a club sponsor as well, so putting the icing on the cake.
That's it, and supporting our club, supporting our teams, changing lives through sport. That's why a lot of people come and surround this big green rectangle on a Friday night or a Sunday afternoon. And as well as working and playing, referee, officiating as well. In fact, one of pre-seasoned friendlies at Hunslet, I think you was running touch as well.
Yeah.
How did you get into refereeing?
So I grew up playing for the boys team from 6 to 11, and as you know, when you get to 11 you need to start looking for a girls team, and I joined the first one in the area at Bursell Victoria, but with it being the only one in the area, there weren't any games that we were actually playing, so we were just training all the time, and it got to the point where we played a few games, but there weren't a team anymore.
Right.
So I wanted to stay involved in it, watching my brother, I'm a twin, so watching my brother play every weekend in the team that I used to play for was very frustrating, not being able to get involved in it all. So I decided to take up officiating, just thinking I'll do it here and there, but no, it's pretty full on, and I've enjoyed every minute of it, and I've done things I'd have never thought that I'd have done. So definitely I think it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made, and it massively contributes to my playing as well. So every 2 minutes all the girls are turning around asking what it's for. So it's brilliant.
Doing things that you thought you'd never do must be a big motivator, and you've already mentioned it, the potential to play at Wembley. What would that mean to you, and how much of a motivator is it to get there?
I'm fortunate enough that I've officiated there, and I've experienced the crowds, and if that's no other motivator, I don't know what is. So to be able to take what we are developing, what we are, hopefully get to that Challenge Cup final, because we want to win, we want to be competitors, and I think the girls are all well aware of the occasion that it will be at Wembley. So I think we're all raring to go, and we're very excited to what the season has to offer.
Yeah, how good would that be to go down and support our women's team down at Wembley? Hopefully the men's team might get there as well. This week, looking forward to Friday, we've got Hull FC, already been to Headingley this year, snatched a win. When we look back and reflect, maybe we could have got that 2 point on offer. But actually a different challenge this week. Hull are struggling a little bit. They'll be hurting after that 40-0 loss against Hull KR at the local derby there. What do you expect Leeds will be facing this week against Hull FC?
I think Hull FC could potentially struggle with the injuries they have with the halfback the other week and the bans that they've received.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll obviously go in their favour, and hopefully Leeds can carry on in the way that they went after Huddersfield. It were a big win, and hopefully it hasn't taken too much out of the sails, so I think Leeds should come on top on that one.
Yeah, Hull struggling to defend. I'm sure they're going to come here and defend well this week. Just a quick word on the atmosphere, actually, on Sunday. It was unbelievable. You know, that double header against the York Valkyrie and then obviously Huddersfield Giants coming. It was a real festival occasion, wasn't it? I really enjoyed the day. What did it feel like playing in front of such a big crowd?
Yeah, well, a record-breaking crowd for a women's game over here. So talking about stepping stones, is still going in the right direction in terms of the attendances. On the playing side, it's just fantastic to hear your club cheering for you and chanting, and that's stuff that we're not really used to. So to be able to get used to that, and it does give you a second wind. It really does pick you up, as you'll know. Having people cheering and doing the chants, I think, is a massive way for the game to go forward, and hopefully we can keep building on those attendances and keep getting them bigger and bigger, because I think if the games are going to keep being like they have been at the weekend. I think that they're deserved.
Caitlin, we've got a massive weekend of sport again. If last weekend wasn't enough over the Easter period, Friday night you're playing again over at Huddersfield at the John Smith Stadium. That's going to be a double header with the Huddersfield men's game. And then over here at Headingley, our reserves are going to be playing Hull FC before our men's team take on the big Hull FC side. Saturday, Leeds Rhinos wheelchair rugby league team are playing London Roosters in Birmingham. They're meeting halfway. Can't wait to see that game. And then on Sunday at the First Direct Arena, we've got our netball team playing against the Saracens Mavericks. Have you watched any of the netball? Yeah, have you seen much of it?
Yeah, they invited us to the First Direct Arena for, I think, one of the first games there, and they did a lead. They came from behind and absolutely smashed it out of the park and ended up winning the game by a few points. So it's absolutely fantastic to watch. It's definitely something I'd definitely go to.
Leeds Rhinos flying the flag this week. Well, as always, hope to see you at Headingley supporting all of our teams where possible. And then after the game, up in the long bar where there'll be plenty of shenanigans, interviews by myself with some of the players and coaching staff. But in the meantime, have a fantastic week. Big thanks to Caitlin Beevers for joining us in Box 2. Can't wait to see you next time.